What is the difference between schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder? This is part 4. This is Sam Vaughn for Sam's Mental Health Day. What is the difference between schizoaffective disorder and schizophrenia? The main difference between schizoaffective disorder and schizophrenia is experiencing a episode. As well as, meanwhile, for a diagnosis of schizophrenia, the disturbance should persist for at least 6 months for an onset. For schizoaffective disorder, you must experience hallucinations and delusions for more than 2 weeks without a major mood episode. Other than that, you should show symptoms of meet the criteria of a major episode for the majority of the duration. Your condition and the symptoms of major depressive disorder episode can vary depending on whether you have the major depressive disorder bipolar type. In bipolar type, you may have both depressive and manic episodes. The former involves the mood, loss of pleasure, and activities you previously enjoyed. Something for me was sports. The later is characterized by high energy, which can manifest from speechlessness, sleepiness,
Grandiose.
delusions, a fight of disease, while criteria of schizophrenia excludes major episodes with the condition of can develop low mood due to difficulty living with the disorder. That thus it becomes challenging to make accurate diagnosis. The fifth diagnostic statistical manual mental health disorder, the APA, different diagnostical the criteria C can be between difference of schizoaffective disorder and schizophrenia. Criterion C requires you to show a major episode for a majority of the activity when you display
Residual.
when psychotic symptoms are periods of mental illness. Even if they are similar treatments, it is used to do diagnosis to different approaches treating it. Here's how treatment for schizophrenia versus schizoaffective disorder differs. This is when I want to give an assessment. Disorders feature since a form of psychotic symptoms are psychotic prescribes an antipsychotic for both conditions. In case of the schizophrenia disorder, there is a need for antidepressants or a mood will depend on whether you have depressive or bipolar type. During individual psychotherapy, mental health professionals can differ approaches, but most common is CBT. The therapy is based on psychological problems occur as a result of facility through patterns and learned patterns of behavior. When used to treat schizophrenia, you rely on techniques such as teaching coping skills and testing. Most importantly, cognitive restructuring. You'll develop helpful tell what's real challenges, way you think to reduce the negative symptoms. Three techniques. CBT is useful situations. Medication isn't effective at managing psychotic symptoms. Since schizoaffective disorder compresses mood disorder, CBT is highly effective. Since methods help you between and behavior symptoms using cognitive, you'll be able to modify negative symptoms throughout the patterns of CBT. Develop to manage severity. Both medications and individuals therapy, family therapy, psychoeducation are other essential aspects of inpatient treatment. During the family therapy, you'll attend sessions with family members such as your parents or siblings or spouse to talk to about how the home environment will potentially affect your condition and vice versa. Your therapist will provide your family member with effective coping strategies. These help your family members cope with challenging and stressful situations. that may occur as a result of the condition. Psychotherapy, your therapist will also take an opportunity to inform them about your diagnosis and how it can affect your lifestyle. Studies show how better understanding the condition, it may make it easier for people to manage. At the same time, it encourages their loved ones to provide support. The difference in schizophrenia, your therapist will also inform you that your loved ones about potential mood disturbance and how they can help you manage them. My assessment this week is done on mood stabilizers. Let me show you my canker sores. A canker sore may not seem like a big deal to you, but it is to me and makes all the difference in my week. I also am not as aggravated. I have more obsessive thoughts. In canker sores and not get aggravated, but all of a sudden I haven't had a canker sore in 6 months and now I have one. Is that due to the antidepressant or mood change or mood medication change? I don't know. But the interesting thing is I haven't had one.
Differences between schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder. Being diagnosed with a mental disorder can be a relief. At last, you know what's going on. But it can also be confusing, even frightening. With mental disorders, it's not always clear what a diagnosis means when you hear it for the first time. And this is especially true for schizoaffective disorder and schizophrenia. Similar in some ways and different in others. Schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorders are two separate conditions. For a professional like myself, the differences are pretty stark. But if you're a layperson who was either diagnosed with these disorders or concerned for a loved one, it can be pretty difficult to parse what a book like the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM, is saying. So let's explore this fraught subject and gain some clarity. Schizoaffective disorder and schizophrenia, the big differences. Okay, here's the big difference between these two mental disorders. Schizophrenia is a mental disorder with symptoms including disorganized thoughts, hallucinations, and/or delusions. Schizoaffective disorder includes the symptoms of schizophrenia along episodes of anxiety, depression, or both. So these are both serious disorders to be diagnosed with. And I'm sorry to say that like most other mental disorders, they're not really curable. However, what they are is manageable. And I've seen many people with these conditions get the help they need and live full and happy lives. What is schizophrenia? Schizophrenia is a mental disorder that involves psychosis, which means it affects how a person perceives the world around them and how they participate in it. According to the Mayo Clinic, there are a range of issues that can indicate schizophrenia. Delusions are false beliefs with no basis in reality. Another symptom are hallucinations, seeing and hearing things that aren't real. Audible hallucinations are very common in schizophrenia. What is schizoaffective disorder? Schizoaffective disorder combines the symptoms of schizophrenia with episodes of depression and mania. There are two types of schizoaffective disorder. The bipolar type includes episodes of mania and sometimes major depression. The depressive type only includes episodes of major depression. Also, like other mental disorders, schizoaffective disorder may be unique for each individual. Unfortunately, we're still unclear on what actually causes these conditions. There may be a genetic link. If you have a close relative with these conditions, you may be at more of a risk for developing them. Are schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder treatable? Yes, they are not curable in the traditional sense of the word, but with medication and counseling, their symptoms can be managed for a lifetime. Let me stress this, schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorders are both extremely serious conditions. However, it's possible to live a long and happy and productive life while managing their symptoms. If you or a loved one are struggling with these conditions, the time to act is now. Schizoaffective disorder and schizophrenia get worse if left untreated. Reach out to the Edge Treatment Center today at 844-590-0403, and we'll get started on developing the right care plan for you or your loved one.
Kansas wins their big Monday. Bill Self is 36-0 in Big Mondays. That's Self record. I assume that's at Kansas, but I don't know. That's a pretty unbelievable streak. Heard it last night on ESPN. The Jayhawks win big time over Iowa State. Final score 69-52. Kansas over Iowa State. Hunter Dickerson finished with 14 on the losing side. Joshua Jefferson finishes with 11. Tonight, the Cats, who won 2 in a row, will play Arizona State. Tip is at 9 on ESPN+. That's Sam on Sports on College Basketball.